Ah, video. Inmendham video, I believe. Is it Inmendham? Yes, it is Inmendham. Yes. So everything's kind of winding down. Weather's been less spectacular. Less than spectacular. Something like that. So anyway, Modern Mystic has still been typing stuff on his website. And not really interacting with this portion of the speaking universe, so no feedback, but just bringing up the point in the sense that he is advocating for a kind of the 12-step program for the drunks. Stop trying to control anything like drunks were trying to control something in the first place, and just take care of yourself, and everything will be just fine. Get religion, get dumb, stupid, and pretend everything's okay. So it's just this peace of mind, personal comfort thing over maximizing utility. Certainly I would argue, if you're going to maximize utility, like win the gold medal, something like that, you're not gonna have a good time. It's going to be harassing and unpleasant and difficult. That's what it takes to be a winner. You don't be a winner by just inheriting it. Yeah, well, in most cases it doesn't work that way. You don't get to just inherit it. But yeah, in more and more cases that's the way it's done in the world we have, because the wealthy are so wealthy. So the elite class is growing just because they have so many claims on what we call ownership. Even though most of them are rubbish, it doesn't matter. They're not rubbish until somebody declares them rubbish. That's the trick of the economy. It's not bankrupt until it actually has to account for itself. And like Trump not delivering his tax return, there's no accounting being done. So anyway, so this is a theme I'm often talking about, is this is all determined, but here we are watching it happen in front of us. We don't see the future, we just see the present, and we have knowledge of some portion of the past, and that's the position we're in. I would argue that certainly from a kind of perspective, we're just sitting here looking for, waiting for some useful tools in playing the game. And I guess one of the most useful, I'm arguing, is knowing what game you're playing. You can't know how to move on the board if you don't know what the game is. Checkers, chess, is strategy required, all of that kind of crud. So in one point, the mystic, in typical contradictory kind of fashion, points out that the important thing is society. When I talk about it, I use the word civilization. Yes, the civilization is really what we're playing for. That's where the real, that will decide, that mechanism, the welfare of the instruments caught up in it. And it will, in some sense, has great power to control how they're motivated, because it will control how they're maturated. And what they think is a good idea will, is largely dependent on the themes your civilization makes visible or realizable as a default state anyway, one that has to be defeated by somebody or some argument. It's given the benefit of the doubt, in the sense it's what you start with, and it has to be knocked out of you, so to speak. I can remember when I was a kid, there was a brief moment, when I was an American, proud kind of thing, and it sort of had to be twisted out of me by, American behavior that just couldn't be justified, and, that you couldn't make rationalizations for and excuses for. It was just, nope, I get it now. Yep, it's just a bunch of selfish cunts exploiting the fuck out of people in a weaker condition. They're just beating up midgets and then calling themselves great. And yeah, screw that. Yeah, no honor in that. No honor in being a part of that. So my mind was changed. So there's like a dual purpose little story, in that it also provides a little bit of evidence. There's some praying mantis lay eggs. Yes. Been wondering where they were. I mean, I know they're here, so I was just have to remember that location. Well, that one's not an A threat. See, I guess it knew the difference between the tree ones and the temporary ones. See, these are all temporaries. These is permanent, and it evolved to maximize its efficiency. So, again, that's the point I'm trying to get to: is this conflict between doing this personal peace of mind, as they phrase it, versus what I would call maximizing maybe your utility, getting the most out of your presence, winning the gold medal, striving to suck the best performance out of yourself in terms of your participation in this thing, this this crap that we've been injected into. And so for some who have already done the peace of mind thing aggressively, they've just rationalized away any kind of notion of any kind of stakes besides what they feel, and have the nihilist, and have obliterated the whole idea that there's a value game, at stake, that there's all these value machines creating value all over the place. They're all having value experiences, and these experiences add up to a color, or a pie, or a cake, that they all kind of are the ingredients to the baking of. And I would argue that that cake in its current manifestation is a poisonous, monstrous, horrid thing. Only a Mengele would feed its dog. I mean, only a sadistic lunatic would impose on anything. The whole idea of, you can go through all these short-lived creatures, the insects, and just the horrible nature of their existence, of brutal consumption of each other's welfare, in just such an overt and grotesque way. The eating each other alive thing. Now, if humans had to endure that, if they had to watch, 99% of their children eaten alive by lions or gorillas or whatever, anything that could possibly eat something alive, alligators, whatever, and that was hastemic, a circumstance for which they had no control, like an AIDS virus or something, and they just had to watch that over and over and over again. Their little tiny Tims, just get consumed brutally, just brutally. I think they would be a little less enthusiastic for saying, "Oh yes, let's just keep doing this. This is a great stupid thing to be doing." I think they could figure out that it's a little worse than drunk driving to procreate in such a circumstance. Worse than a slave having a baby, worse than almost anything you can imagine. Well, the reality is almost as bad as you can imagine. When you really look at it, when you account for the whole thing, rather than just your little what's in it for me kind of crap. That's not going to give you much of a perspective. No perspective at all, really. Nothing that can be called dignified, you're retarded if you really don't understand what's going on here. What this is all made out of. You're retarded. You're really stupid, and that's a problem. So then the problem becomes, what's all this about? Talking, and trying to be creative, and trying to make an argument, and the energy that has to go into that. In my opinion, that's all there really is trying to find a way of saying something very simple. Do not God, for example. Do not, rot your brain, destroy your logic and reasoning capacity by accepting fables as reality. First, besides doing no harm, first do no harm to the truth. Don't rape a fact for your convenience. So, first acknowledge the reality, and then deal with, the idea of reacting to it and saying, well, what's the minimum? What's the least I can do? And then you can work your way up to doing a little better than that. But clearly it needs fixing, and you can do that by fixing society and the human condition, and all of that eventually will evolve into fixing the big society, because that one has more members in it. It's kind of like a white culture taking care of itself, and then when it's comfortable enough, it'll decide to see if it can do something for the other cultures that exist and the other people trapped in its machine. And so it'll do things like, we don't need to exploit children, so let's close those nasty little sweatshops with the 10-year-olds in it, and it'll give a few concessions to the animals here and there. Let's abolish that dog fighting thing or the bull fighting, because that's just grotesque. But they're so far they are the least we can do, at the very least. And sometimes what we do isn't even productive. The idea of all the stray animals running about, the unwanted pets, left to their own devices, a problem not dealt with in any kind of rational way. Let's capture a few of them, impose a nasty surgery on them, and then throw them back to eat garbage and bugs. Yeah, wow, great idea. No, that doesn't exactly solve the problem. And then all the bleeding hearts, they come out, and it's like, what a crime it would be to discontinue the reproductive life of one of these organisms in an efficient manner, which is just to concede they don't really need it, just as none of us really need tomorrow. If we're productive, then you could say society needs us tomorrow, but our personal need ends with your personal existence ending. You really can't keep needing once you're dead, and you're kind of silly if you think so. But again, it's not to argue that some people don't have utility to the people around them or the people in the world, and so there you might have a tragedy if you were to prevent them from seeing more future than they could potentially. But I'm just saying, rationally, for these animals, they don't play that game. They're in it for the moment for the most part. Today anyway. Not much worry about tomorrow. Not much need for it to happen. Not anything, and I think you can rationally manifest into an understanding of a necessity. But the world works the way it works. People live for their personal emotions, what they feel at the moment. None of it has to have anything to do with anything big or important to what's going to happen to the things invested in this game we're playing. And so all that is not part of the story for the average person, because they are not in any way punished for the self-interest crap. These late daisies are kind of neat. I finally got one. It looks like others coming, but it's kind of a weird time of year for daisies, so they are kind of interesting. It's not like an annual plant, it's a perennial. And so, I guess that's good. I'll have some flowers when all the rest of them are dying, which is nice, mostly, personally. Not really critical to the function of the world. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. So what else? I don't know if there's much to keep going on about. It's just this idea of like, how do you communicate this? So yeah, that's sort of where I was at. Is the feudalist will tell you there's no point in arguing, there's no point in pushing, there's no point in worrying, there's no point in trying. You're not going to win the gold medal, you're not going to be important, you're not going to make a difference. Just all this defeatism, and they'll pretend they're doing it in your own interest. Yeah, it's for your own good to be a defeatist, because you're just going to waste your wonderful life, where you could just be passively more comfortable, and you're just going to irritate yourself with a bunch of worry that will be of no use or no value. And the same argument I suppose could be made if you could convince all the excellers in the world that the Olympic winners. Not that I'm a fan of Olympics or contests like that, but they're superficial. That's the only reason. If people were trying to win the gold medal and the gold medal meant you cured cancer, I'd be really quite willing to applaud. But people are excelling to be asshole. I'm sorry, but the guy who can jump the highest is, you might as well say the guy who can drool the most. What's the fucking point of winning that contest? It just doesn't mean anything. It's just stupid. it has nothing to do with productivity, utility, function of anything that matters. That's anything important. Whoa. Shit falling from the sky. The lower sky. Lots of dead stuff over there. Good thing it's not over here. Yeah, that's the leaning tree over there squeaking. It's just hanging right over that house and just sitting up in that tree, just waiting to... So many swords of Damocles hanging around. And there's weeds that I can't pull because it's really freaking aggressive. Yeah, I would lose the pull the weed out with one hand Olympics. Where do I want to get to? Yeah, so there's this argument is, I think, there to be made. It just needs to be made really well. So that's what we need to excel at. So the competition really is you know, if you want to get something out of yourself, maximize your potential. Certainly being defeatist about it won't do the job. So if you want to give up before you start, well, that's kind of pussy. Yeah, it's certainly worth doing, in my opinion, even if failure seems like what will be the end result. This time, failure's worth it. Where in the Olympics, right, all the failures, all the people who don't win, it's a huge price paid for that one gold medal winner. All those people who have to go through the rest of their life saying, what if I tried a little harder, what if that bitch didn't, what if, you know, all that what if crap. So it's really quite toxic. But in the case of what we're fighting for, what you're fighting for, hopefully, what you may, with the right inspiration, what you may be willing to think about, and maybe manifest a lack of peace of mind, a lack of ability to just sit by comfortably and say, I'm just going to tell jokes, you know, I just want to have fun, you know. If that's all you can muster, then yeah, you're failing, not winning, in my opinion. I mean, there's just no utility in it. The world doesn't need it, and we might as well you might as well be put out of your comfort, because it's of no utility. It's you know, you're just, and the likelihood is in this game, sitting back and saying, do I have peace of mind? Am I achieved my peace of mind? You're not going to be able to do that cheap. You're going to be part of a system that's going to exploit people all over the world, and you're going to exploit the biosphere. The animals all over the world are all getting ground up to produce your oxygen and your fresh air and all that crap. So you're part of a system that's quite expensive. And so yeah, I think the rational argument could be made that if that's your objective, peace of mind, you don't have much more utility than a stray cat, and you should probably best be put out of your consumption, yeah, and certainly your reproduction. Yeah, you just, you know, that's just a fact. It's just unfortunate that, you know, an uncomfortable life is more likely to be a life that's going to be more useful if it's fighting for something better. I mean, if it's fighting for, I don't know, a race war, well, then it's not going to be better. If it's obsessed with a plan that has nothing to do with fixing, but just wishes to break some more, yeah, well, yeah, different scenario, different equation. So anyway, not as straight line as I was looking for in this video, but it's a theme. I've talked about it before. It's here to have. The game is here to play. It's all about composing these words in such a manner that they hit somebody and they say, yeah, I can't argue with that. I get it, okay? Rationally, I can understand that. Come on. Yes, this world is littered, just covered in drama and trauma. It's just made of drama and trauma. And for me to pretend those sirens, you know, like I say, if there was a siren that went off every time something was going to get eaten alive, or squished, or horribly have a really bad day, or a really bad 10 minutes anyway, really bad 10 minutes, and you could hear the sirens, well then, you know, maybe it would be, you could see how ludicrous it would be for you to stand in the middle of those sirens going off, you know, and talk about how wonderful everything is and how everything's just fine because, you know, I had a great day today. Like, that would be as empty and as ludicrous as Donald Trump. You know, it would be as vacuous and senseless as, you know, you standing on a podium to be President of the United States not having a single goddamn clue. You know, I can't, you know, the stuff that happens, you just say, he didn't just do that, did he? Did he just say, just like Ronald Reagan, did he just say something that's stupid? Well, no, let's give the rich more money and everything will be fine, right? It worked before, didn't it? Huh? No, people went from having a life, the average person, to being, I don't know, 60% poorer. Yeah, and the rich got richer, yeah, and the workers got poorer. Gee, it worked great, huh? And somebody buys this. But I'm just saying that, I mean, obviously the propaganda engines, I hate to call it that because that's you know, no, it's, I mean, that is not what's going on in the sense that that's not what you want to be doing. You don't want to be distorting or perverting or lying to sell the truth. You know, you just want to be able to present it in a manner that will make it palatable to people who don't wish to give up on the idea that it's all about them, and have to accept that, yeah, I'm eating dead babies. I'm feeding on their torture. You know, the system tortures things, and I get peace of mind. Yeah, that's a pretty disgusting fairy tale, and that's the reality we're living in. So yes, it's trying to explain, to paint a picture of what's going on that people can understand. Because apparently they can't understand it if you just throw it at them like this in the world, and you even show them Shark Week and you know, Carnivore Week and whatever, Bug Week and Insect Week and Parasite Week, and you show them little worms eating brains and all kinds of stuff. You could show that to them. It's like they didn't even see it. You know, so it is funny that you kind of have to retell the story in some way because they can't recognize it as it's actually happening all around them. The whole evolution thing. See, this is why religion is just so corrosive, because it gives people a way of excusing everything. Because if you understand what evolution is doing, you can see what it's doing. It's not making human beings. It's making machines that eat each other insidiously and perpetually and as a matter of course, of daily function. This is how they go about their business every day. Well, and people do it too. I mean, they go to their lunch and they have this hamburger thing or their hot dog thing, and it's overtly, yes, okay, there's usually no bones in it, but I mean, you know what it's made out of. So, yes, reality somehow isn't convincing enough on its own. Certainly for some of us, it was more than convincing. I mean, that's why I am who I am, is because I was convinced right from the start. I mean, you took me into the world and just started pointing out a few of these facts of life, and I was bludgeoned by them. I was, what? That's the facts we're playing? That's the game? If God says so, that's the way it is, and things will have their legs ripped off, and all this shit will happen based on something called luck, pretty much. And I'm supposed to say, oh, what a fun game. I just can't wait till it's my turn to be ground up. That looks like such a good time. Getting one of those diseases or having one of those accidents. Oh, I just can't wait. No, I could wait. I was really interested in finding the waiting line because I didn't really want to play. Because it doesn't sound like a good game to me. So, there's a reason why at 5 years old I could calculate that why do I want to play fuck you. Yeah, Fubar. Happy Fubar. No, I don't want to play that. And you assholes do. I mean, you who find something in what I just am talking about here disturbing, and oh, that's just a bad attitude, that's no way to look at things, and blah blah blah. So I mean, clearly you're on some other bandwagon than I'm on. I see the bandwagon saying a bunch of pointless harm, drama, pain, suffering. Why would I jump on that? Say, oh great, I'm going for a moronic torture ride. Ooh, great. Can't wait. And then you do live your life and you find how, oh man, I'm so lucky. Yeah, I don't got herpes, I don't got all this other shit, I don't got AIDS, I don't got some other physical fucking, I do have some physical fucking, but I mean, I don't have the major disabilities. I just have these minor and chronic pains, and unpleasantnesses. But yeah, you find out that that's what life is. You get your heart broken. You just get slaughtered in so many ways. You just keep fighting and fighting for your life, and so many things just beating you, and it's just this struggle just to stay alive, let alone have any peace of the mind, even in the small portion of the life that you're living, personally. And then you have to somehow muster enough courage to sit there and burden yourself, pile some on yourself, even though your personal life is eating you up alive in some respects, with your personal harassments, poverty, whatnot. You're going to have to dump some more on you and say, yeah, but I still got to do this be useful thing. I still got to do this be productive thing somehow in this context of being substantially uncomfortable. And that's difficult to do. It's hard. Take on burden when you're already kind of just squished. It's really hard to do that push-up and crawl a little further. I'm not trying to make it heroic, but I just mean there, it's the real ugliness of life, is that the people that are motivated are the people who have so little capacity to do something, because they're motivated because they have lived it. They've tasted the horror, and sometimes they're going to be damaged by it and have less capacity to do something. And the inverse of the people who have had the good fortune, and they squander it on hookers and the golf courses and the silly putty of an appetite that's insatiable, and they keep needing bigger and better, more slaves, never have enough. So anyway, I've gone on a bit, as they say. So that's enough, mostly, probably. So till the next time, from inside the cage, the protected area. Yeah, it was really droughty here, so there's a lot of stuff that's a little bit, not what it should be. It was a good year, so to speak, good summer. I'm quite deflated, by the prospect of, I gotta go do that 6 months of winter thing. The pain. But it might make me more productive, because it will make me less distracted by the desire to splendor in the grass. There'll be less of that as a potential and such. So anyway, so yeah, just making the argument. I mean, thousands and thousands of videos to try to make these arguments about simple things, some of them. And yes, the darkest one is the end conclusion that the best game to play is the let's get out of the game. That's the real objective, and all the other stuff, fix the democracy and all that kind of crap is important, but not nearly as important a game to win in the end. But yeah, no victory seems just as far away as it did 10 years ago, and I mean, the prospect seems, there's more to be optimistic about, in the sense that you can actually reach people now. You can actually create or tell a story and have somebody hear it, but yeah, it still isn't good enough. It's still not the stage you need to be on, and maybe that's the fault of ourselves. Maybe we just haven't made a good enough play, or maybe there's something else at play, and you have to just do that lucky thing. Inherit an advantage, fall into it without any. I didn't. I just did those incidental things that sometimes make or break your future. Things that you don't control. Not that you control anything, but I just mean that things that don't have to come out of you, they come out of someone else, and there's a good combination of things that arises, or something like that. So anyway, just arguing in defense of people not being nihilist cunts and not thinking you're still playing an okay game if you're doing this peace of personal mind thing. It's not a legitimate game to play in this circumstance. With these sirens going off, playing the personal peace of mind game is gross, disgusting. It's just, listen, it's like somebody during an earthquake or something, and there's people crushed under the underpasses. There's all kinds of horror going on, and they're arguing because their slushy at the 7-Eleven wasn't frozen enough, and they're on TV making a big, huge complaint in a scene, and there's all this going on all around them. It's as ludicrous as that. For you to sit here, for some serious human to talk about personal peace of mind in this circumstance. No one's entitled to it in this circumstance. Yeah. Alright, that's enough said. So, till the next time, and the such, and the so forth and the whatnot.